Welcome to Real Talk Film Discussions. With me, as always, is Anthony. And today we're going to be going over Birdman.
Birdman.
Right here. So, as we all probably know, Birdman won for Best Picture at the Oscars this year. So we're going to go over, basically, should it have won Best Picture? So, what do you think?
Well, to me, I was really surprised that it won Best Picture. Not because I don't think that it should have won Best Picture out of the nominees that were there, but because it just doesn't seem like the type of movie that the Oscars usually go to give Best Picture for. But saying that, I'm really happy that it won Best Picture, even though I don't think it was the Best Picture of last year.
Those are good points. Because I don't think it should have won either. But I can respect and be appreciative that it did win.
Yeah.
And it can pave the way for other films in the future. Because
Yeah.
I don't think it is a film that's comparable to other films that have won in the past.
Yeah, it's really like they branched off to get this movie, and I really like the director a lot. I've liked all of his other movies, and the way that he did this movie was really impressive for me, and that's why I'm really glad that it won Best Picture, because it seemed like most of the movie was just one take, and there's so many original things in that movie, and I really like the whole atmosphere of the film.
I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, the whole looking like it's one take, like it looked too real that it looked fake. Like that's impossible. So that kind of put me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I want to, like when I'm watching a movie, I want to be able to see like the scenes and know like where we're at like here, then there, but there's just one continuous flow. But you know that they can't really do that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they practiced it a lot. Like, I went back and I watched, like, the special features on it and stuff like that. And they did, like, practice it for months and months on end until they got it just right. And the editing was just perfect enough that it seemed like it was just basically one take the whole movie, which is crazy.
And I know, like, there were some really long scenes, though.
Yeah.
Like, really long takes, which is very impressive. But at the same time, it looked too real to me, so I knew it was fake.
Yeah.
And I was focusing on that for a while because I was like really focusing on when am I going to see the first cut.
Yeah.
And then it didn't come until like really late, like after basically the play was over.
Yeah, when they set the camera down and then the sun comes up and down, that's like the first take or whatever. But it was crazy because like I had the same feeling when I first watched it in the theater for the first time, and I was like, this is like the longest take I've ever seen in a movie. I just couldn't get over it. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It was uncomfortable and interesting at the same time for a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I like what they did there. Definitely respect the filmmaking.
Yeah.
As far as the director, he, like, you could tell he was very hands-on.
Yeah.
And he really was passionate about this film. And it showed.
Yeah. He's got that finesse now. This is his fifth mainstream movie, and he's really coming into his own as one of the best directors out there, I think.
Is that you?
No.
Okay. All right. Back. So, what do you think goes into Best Picture?
I really don't know anymore, man. I used to think of Best Pictures as, I mean, I used to look forward to the Oscars all the time, but now it's just way too political. Like we were talking about before, like everything is just too political. And I mean, I think that they nominated this movie because it's like the cool hip thing, and like and like it's like it's just like a typical Hollywood story of some burnt out actor who comes back and like is like reminiscing about his past and stuff like that, and then trying to make it big again and something like that. So I think that has something to do with why they picked that.
See, I like that a movie like this can win Best Picture.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I wouldn't think that it would. Like, there's so many like real life references, and it is like more kind of a comedy type.
Yeah, you don't really see comedies win that much.
Yeah.
Like, and it was nice because this one it's a pretty fun movie. I think
It is. I enjoyed it. I mean, we can get into the meat and bones of the movie in a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you want to get into the movie?
Let's do it.
I mean, we gotta discuss the movie.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Right.
We can start with Michael Keaton because I like him, and I think he did a great job in this movie.
Oh, he did. I think it was an Oscar snub when they didn't even nominate him.
Yeah, for sure. The stuff that he had to do, like, and I know he was mentioning before, like, where can he go from here? Like, cause the performance that he did in this movie.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't get anything, right?
Yeah. Or maybe he was nominated and he just didn't win. I can't remember. But either way, I thought it was enough for him to win something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so great because it parallels so much of Michael Keaton's career too at the same time with like Batman and like stuff like that. And then what has he done since Batman and how he's done other things, but nothing like this caliber in a while.
Yeah, I don't know a movie off the top of my head that he was like the star and like it did extremely successful.
Yeah. I can't really remember either. Yeah, but I was disappointed that he didn't win because I thought he did a really great job.
Mm-hmm. So then, I mean, back on awards then. Just jumping all over the place, but it's fine. That's what we do. Best director, you really think that he should have been the winner?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he deserved it for Babel. I think Beautiful was one of the best movies ever, and then this movie was just incredible too, in a different way than those other two movies. I don't think it's his best movie. I just think that he did some of his best directing in it.
Yeah, I think this movie itself called for great directing, or else it just wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it would have just been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have been able to get all the little nuances that they did in that movie to make it work.
Mm-hmm. Back on Michael Keaton though, he looked really rough in this
Right?
film. He looked horrible.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he can't look like that yet.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see him in an interview after that because he looks a little bit better. So
yeah. And another one, Zach Galifianakis. I liked him in this film.
He was and the funny thing is that like I heard that he was the one who screwed up the least, like in all of the takes that they did. Like he was the one
like outtakes and laughs and stuff, probably.
Yeah, all that stuff. Like so many people forgot like their lines or something, or they screwed up or something. But he was the one who screwed up the least, which was really interesting. I thought.
Well, you know, like his character is a character.
Yeah.
But like you're used to seeing him in a different light.
Yeah.
And in this, I really like seeing him in like he was actually one of the more serious ones.
Yeah, yeah. And it was really nice to see him that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's really, really funny. And
yeah.
I imagine that it's really hard for him
to
not try and be funny all the time.
Like I love this scene where Birdman, Michael Keaton Reagan, just like destroyed his room and then he walks in and just like looks around.
Yep. It's just great.
Yeah. That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Alright, so another thing I noticed about this movie was there wasn't much of a soundtrack, but there was a lot of drums.
That's another real cool thing that I thought. I mean, it bothered me at first, but it's like the movie. Like it made you feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But then I respect that they did that, and it was awesome. Like I thought it was so cool that they just had and that guy's actually a really like well accomplished jazz drummer. So I actually knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize until after I watched the movie, and then I was like, oh, that's that guy that I've been listening to in some of these other jazz albums. And it was just so cool the way that they tried to make that whole album, just the whole soundtrack, just like a drum solo album, which was
basically
really cool.
I liked it. It was different.
Yeah. It was definitely different, and I respect that it was different. I mean, but like I said before, like even though I respect both the picture that it won Best Picture and the soundtrack, that it was an amazing soundtrack, but I don't think that either one of them were the best of last year.
What do you think? What was the best?
Oh, clearly it was Interstellar.
Interstellar.
Interstellar is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And the
It wasn't
soundtrack.
nominated for.
It wasn't nominated for anything, which is
Okay.
garbage.
I was
So
like,
much
did I miss
garbage.
something?
And it was nominated for Best Score,
Mhm.
and it didn't even win. And it's the best score I think that Hans Zimmer has ever wrote in his life. And
he's pretty much a legend at that.
He is absolutely. I mean, just recently, Gladiator, all the Dark Knight movies, The Man of Steel, like so many different amazing themes that he's created. And Interstellar just brought his A game to that, man.
So, do you think that's kind of like just a slap in the face to Hans Zimmer, though? Because I feel I'm on both sides of the fence, because there's one side where it's like there's the legend, the accomplished, like, man that he is. He's still around, so should he still be winning? And then the other side is like there's other people that deserve a chance.
Yeah.
So
I totally get that too, but I think that, like I said, I just think that it's his best material that he's ever released. And like, if you can't, like, I mean, if an actor performs the best that he's ever performed, then, and it's better than anything that anybody's putting out, you have to give it to him. You can't just give it to somebody else because they're new or whatever. But I mean, I do like the fact that we're hearing like new things for soundtracks, which is really cool. And Whiplash had an awesome soundtrack too. I have to add that in there too.
I mean, this movie is kind of its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it totally is, and that's why I love this movie, because it's so unique in so many different ways.
The one thing, like, it kind of hits at the point earlier, though. I love live performances in entertainment, and this wasn't live, but the way they filmed it, like, it looked like a theater production, a movie about a theater production that looks like a theater production.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like it, and then, like, but it looked like behind the scenes, like, it looked like you were following someone that performed on stage.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And, I mean, you don't really see that anywhere else.
Yeah, it's really cool.
At least not on this grand stage.
Yeah. I mean, all the other times I've seen some sort of theater stuff in a movie, it doesn't feel like this, that's for sure.
I think a lot of, like, theater movies, they need to move to this style. I think this is going to pave the way, because they have the cuts and the scenes and the takes, and it doesn't make it seem like it's the play.
Yeah.
And like this, it seems like it was a play.
Yeah, it seems like it was. It's like that. It's like a gap between a play and a movie. It's interesting. Yeah. I really like
it. I agree. So, but at the same time, for me, like, this movie was easy to follow, but it was kind of hard to understand.
Yeah.
And, like, I knew what was going on, but I didn't know the direction or where it was going. And then at the end, it left me with a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like that, and I think that the director likes to do things like that. Some directors really like to just leave it open at the end. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about the end? What do you think that means in the end?
I have no idea. Like, that's one of my big questions. Like, I have a lot of questions about the end and stuff that's left out of the plot. And, like, I don't know what he's doing, like, with, like, comets and dead jellyfish.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because, like, I was watching the one thing on the DVD, and it was like a behind the scenes thing, and the director was trying to explain, like, what that whole beginning scene was about. And it was about, like, I don't even remember, but, like, it's all about his ego and that battle that he's having with his ego, and, like, Birdman is, like, his ego that he's fighting with all the time. And I think, for me, at the end of the movie, I really thought that he was finally able to let go of all that regret and all that other stuff that he had in his life that his ego just kept bringing back, and he was finally free of that. I don't think that he died.
Did he jump out the window? Apparently he was flying.
I don't think he was flying.
Like
I don't know. I mean, she was looking all. I don't know, but
they left so much. Like after, for me, this is where I lost it when he was walking down the street and like Birdman came out behind him and he started talking to Birdman and stuff.
Yeah.
That right there is where the movie lost me though completely.
Yeah,
because after that,
the giant bird came down flying by and whatever,
and all the special effects and stuff at that part, and like I just didn't know what was going on anymore. I didn't know what was real, what to believe.
Yeah,
anything. Because before you kind of knew what was in his mind or what was like fake.
Yeah,
and then what was real. But after that, I just didn't understand the movie anymore. And then even like, how did he shoot his nose off? Like I could have swore like the gun wasn't pointed at his nose.
It was like pointed at his head.
And wouldn't it have blown more off than just his nose? Like, and I don't understand that part. Yeah. Was there symbolism behind like his nose being blown off, or
maybe, I don't know. I mean, to me, I just think that the whole movie is just an experience, and that
you just gotta take it.
You just gotta. It opens up all these different questions, but it's just more of an experience, I guess, and it's really, I thought, to me anyway. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but it's. I just thought that it was more about his battle with his other side, like we all have sometime, you know. Mm. And he finally was able to build that resilience and overcome that Birdman ego of his. And he was finally free of it at the end. That's what I thought, but I could totally be wrong.
One message, because I was asking myself, like, what was a message of the film? And there was a couple messages that I took from it myself. And one of them was your reputation versus your popularity and how they conflict with each other. And I thought this film did a good job of portraying that with the two different actors.
Yeah.
Kind of going head to head the whole film.
Yeah, and I was really happy to see Ed Norton like that in the movie. Yeah. He was awesome.
He was awesome. We didn't even talk about him yet.
I know. And he's such a great part of that movie.
He was.
There's so many great things about him. And he was so funny, too, man.
And it's great because, like, he was a great part of the movie, and I think he was one of the better parts of the movie. Yeah. And also, like, they needed him to be great for the play, and, like, they had to get a great actor, and he was the one that they got for the play as well.
It was awesome. He was so great, man. Mm-hmm. I don't think they could have picked anybody else better.
And he did a great job of doing what he did.
And it's nice to see him back in some really great role, because he's a great actor. Mm-hmm. And I haven't really seen him in a great role in a while, it seems. So it's great to see him like that.
Yeah. Even though I would love to still see him as the Hulk.
Right? Me too. He would have been so awesome as the Hulk, man. Mm-hmm. I liked that movie. I don't care.
Yeah. And to go with the reputation versus popularity, it's like what's in versus what's respected. And I think there's a little battle inside the movie, but also like the movie itself, it's like this movie isn't necessarily what's in, but I think it's going to move towards that. But it's like they want to be respected in their filmmaking.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that until you said that.
Yeah. But inside the film, just how do you like gauge how popular you want to be versus losing respect? Because like he didn't want to do the social media stuff.
Yeah.
And like he didn't really care too much about being popular anymore, but he wanted to be respected, and like he was doing the play to gain back his self-respect.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And in a way, it was all about that maybe that's what his whole battle was with his ego, is about respect and about love, too. Like the love that he wants to receive from people respecting him, and even like his daughter and stuff like that, too. It's an interesting movie.
It is. And then I had another message I took away from it was like you have to be willing to risk in order to succeed.
That's true in all things in life. Man.
Exactly.
And that's why it's another reason why I love this movie, because I love movies that don't settle for going for the lowest bar. Just like in all things in life, I don't like when people settle to go for the easiest thing in life. You have to do some sort of risk to grow as a character, you know. And even if you fail, at least you tried to do something that may not be attainable to other people, but you still were willing to give it that try and not settle for the least. And I think that's a thing that Reagan was doing in the movie too.
And you have to do that to be at peace with yourself.
Yeah,
or you're going to be at war with yourself
all the time.
So I like taking away that message from this film for sure. And then, yeah, I mean, like I said before, I respected the filmmaking extremely, but I didn't really, I don't know, the storytelling to me, it just didn't catch me. I don't know if I'd like want to see this film again, even though I respect this film, but I would love to see another film like this.
Yeah.
And see where it could go.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this isn't, to me, this movie is more of an experience, like I said. Like it's, I mean, I don't think you need to watch it like 100 times or something like that, but I do think that you need to experience this movie at least once, just to feel
I definitely
the way
agree with
that this movie makes you feel.
I've been hearing people ranting and raving about this though, which there is a lot to rant and rave about. But still, I agree. I don't know if it's the best picture.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to have a talk about Interstellar one day. I mean, I think
put that on the list,
right? I think that's one of the best movies that's ever been made. Christopher Nolan's best movie. Matthew McConaughey was stellar. Soundtrack is the greatest.
No pun intended.
I know. It was. I mean, there's so many, and even though I do respect all the directing and everything that they did with this movie, there's nothing that touches Interstellar, man. Nothing. It was just.
We're gonna have to add that to the list,
right?
We'll get into that.
And Contact too. Oh man, those two movies you got to watch back to back.
Back to back.
Because so many people don't even know Contact. Like, I had no idea what Contact was, and then I watched it, and like at first, like it was kind of like an experience too for me. And like I couldn't watch it like the first time I watched it, and then like I was like, I don't want to watch this movie, so I put it down. And then like a couple weeks later, I sat through the whole thing, and I just sat there and I watched it, and I just let it happen, and it was probably in my top 3 movies of all time. It's like the greatest movie. I love it.
We're gonna have to get into it all, man.
And it's all these movies just link together for me, man. There's all some sort of singular message, like what we were saying, that really attracts me to movies like these. And it's really great.
Nice. And one, I don't know if it's an Easter egg, but that I noticed in Birdman, back to Birdman, is that they're drinking Mexican beers, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's great that he, I mean, you don't really see that many great directors come out of Latin America or South America anymore, or at least they don't get recognized the way that they should, because there's some really great directors there. I mean, like in South America, like in Brazil, like City of God is one of the best movies I've seen in like the past 10 years. It's just incredible. And like nobody even knows what that movie is, and it's sad because it's such a great movie. And like it's great that we're allowing like these other directors to like, I don't know. It's just great that we can watch movies like this. And I think that this movie is his most accessible movie that you can watch, because first of all, it's in English. So I mean, a lot of people just shut off a movie because they don't want to read subtitles, or because it's in a different language, and they just don't even give it the respect that it's due, which is a shame, especially for other great movies. And but it's great that we can appreciate somebody like him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just watched a documentary on Serge Ibaka.
Birdman.
He's a basketball player on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah,
and that was in English, but also in the language of
Baby Birdman
for a lot of it, and it was subtitled, and it was great. But I know like a lot of people don't want to watch subtitle stuff. Like, I mean, I've watched subtitle stuff my whole life, so
yeah,
I'm not in that category.
Yeah.
But
But it's good. It's good that we have all these different cultures coming together to make interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's really the point of it, that we can just bring all these different ideas from all these different cultures and make something great out of it, some great experience. Because that's really what going to the movies and watching a movie really is. It's an experience, and it means different things to different people when you watch it or whatever. But it's really great to experience all these different things.
It is. But it has to still be kind of streamlined American.
Yeah, of course.
Because, I mean, that's why the Oscars have, like, a foreign language category.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So a lot of films won't really get the chance in America.
Yeah.
Just like soccer doesn't get a chance in America.
I know, right? It's so sad.
Yeah. But, anything else to add? I believe that's all for this week. Signing out. See you next week. I had a couple other questions about Birdman that I didn't bring up because I just didn't look. Because I'm always just going off. Like, I write all this stuff down, and then I go off the top of my head anyways, kind of. Like, I glance at the paper, but I don't really look. Like, they didn't ever, at least from what I know, address, like, Reagan didn't ever go after Mike about, like, with his daughter.
Yeah.
He just, like, saw it, and then I thought he was going to, like, confront him about it, but there was no confrontation.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything. I mean, he said something to his daughter, I think, right?
Did he?
I thought he did.
I don't remember. See, I didn't remember anything coming up. And
I thought that was so funny though when Mike was trying to sleep with Naomi Watts' character
on the stage. She flipped out.
That was so funny though.
And then she started making out
Oh
with the
my
girl.
god, yeah, I don't understand what.
Do you think anything else happened besides just kissing?
No, I don't think so.
That was weird.
She was
like,
weird.
do it again.
I know. Bringing her back to, oh my god, what is that movie? I can't ever remember now. The other movie where Naomi Watts.
I never really watched any of her movies.
No?
Honestly.
She's a really great actress. I like her. I'm surprised they had so many.
Well, a lot of big names.
Yeah.
They might not all have been A-list, but they were pretty big names.
Yeah.
And, like, with the lawsuit, they never really addressed that. I mean, that could have been a whole long other thing, but...
I think it took away from the movie, though, if they did too much with it. I think it was pretty funny, though.
And I would have liked to know, like, what happened with his career.
After?
Yeah, like, after.
Yeah.
Because then everybody's, like, back on his bandwagon and stuff. And
yeah. Maybe it doesn't matter to
flies
him
out the window
anymore,
Yeah. He just wanted people to like him again.
Yeah, and he finally resolved that in himself. And then that was the moral of it. It didn't matter after that, I guess. Just like, it reminds me, it's just like the end of Inception. Like, I mean, people can debate whether or not the thing is stopping or if it's not stopping, but in the end, it doesn't even really matter to his character anymore if it's real or not. Because he's just at peace with himself, finally. And that's all that matters.
That's probably, that's what matters most in most situations. Everyone's like, you gotta, like, love yourself before you can love someone else.
Yeah.
You gotta respect yourself. You gotta have self-respect before you can know how to respect someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was really, really interesting. Because I didn't even think about that. I thought I read that somewhere, and I was like, oh my god, that's the same thing as Inception. I was like, oh man. Though, of course, I still think that it stopped. His little dreidel, or whatever it was. I went back and I watched it a second time, and, I mean, like we were saying, it's just not the same when you watch it the second time. It's not the same experience anymore. I mean, you can still appreciate it, but the first time you see it is always going to be that experience of it. And there's some movies that are like that. I don't necessarily enjoy those movies better than other movies, but I respect that those movies exist.